Hi friends, it's me, Miss Wendy from Manlius Library. This week's junior art is kind of wrapping up some of the things that we've talked about over the last several weeks as we become great artists, right? Practice makes perfect. So I thought I would share with you some different things as you observe things and draw them. So for example, I took the liberty of grabbing some play food here to start us be thinking about the shapes that we see around our world as we draw them. So for example, this apple. This apple, if we were to draw that, what shape do you think of first? You're right, the circle. And so as you draw that on your paper or in your sketchbook, you would probably draw the circle, and then the little stem might be a little kind of a skinnier rectangle, perhaps. If you were to draw this piece of corn or this ear of corn, you might start out by the oval shape, right? And as you draw the details of each kernel of that corn, my eye sort of sees a rectangle, but then with a rounded edge. So that would be a very fantastic way of being very detail oriented. But think of objects in your world as all holding a shape, right? My face is an oval, my eyes are ovals, my nose might be more of a kind of like reminds me of a triangle, right? But then it's rounded. So be thinking about those different shapes as you draw. The salt shaker. So this salt shaker kind of looks like a rectangle here, right? And on the top, sort of looks like maybe like a trapezoid. Could be like a rectangle, but then kind of narrowed in at the top, right? If I was drawing it from the top, it would be a circle with lots of little circles for the holes of the salt shaker. So I thought that would be something important to share with you. Along with observing things around us in our environment, looking at trees, and now I can see behind me the mural that's drawn here in the Storytime room at Manlius. I noticed that the artist is really looking at, for example, the tree. The tree would have a solid base, and the base is always wider and it goes skinnier as it goes up. So I took a minute to go ahead and draw my own tree. And you can see I started with the base of my tree being a little wider, and then I made it go more narrow at the top. As I did my branches want to be on there nice and solid. So again, we're going to start a little bit more wide as we connect the branch and then go thinner as we go out. Some things to think about. So on this same sheet, you probably noticed I was covering up. I was starting to draw a ball. And as I drew that ball, I decided I wanted to make it look really three-dimensional. So some tricks that you can do is if you were going to do something to make it look three-dimensional, is to look at your color families. So as I started, my first layer was in yellow because that's going to be probably the lighter color for what I'm imagining my ball would look like, right? As I colored, I didn't color left and right or up and down. I made sure to follow that kind of circle as I colored, right? And as I layer that on, and I'm holding up a color wheel to give you the indication of what it might look as it gets darker, right? Because I'm imagining that the light source is coming from the top here and shining across, creating a shadow. Then I add on my orange and I started shading in, and I kind of paid attention to not color so brightly up here with my orange. It has a little bit, but again, as I layer, I'm building that up. My next color that I decided to go with was red. So I went from yellow, orange, and then red. And I probably colored maybe about a third of this ball, and mostly on this side because again, I'm imagining that my light source is coming from the top here. And so it would look darker towards the bottom. Finally, I went with a red-brown and just did a very little bit, again following that curve of the ball to make it more three-dimensional. Some tricks that I've seen artists do are squinting their eyes as they look at something that they've shaded, and it almost gives it kind of a pop out on your paper. So if you take a second, squint your eyes, and you can kind of see it almost looks three-dimensional. That's a little tip for you. As I colored in my shadow, I started with a gray and did it very lightly. And if you look at an object and you have a light source on it, notice your shadow is going to be darker closer to the object, and then it'll start to fade out. And in this case, mine faded out to white on a white table. So I hope you use those tips as you become more practiced and more confident as an artist. And I also want to challenge you to kind of like a little summer junior art challenge. So feel free to stop this video and scribble down some of these ideas. One of the ideas that you might do on one day could be finding something in your yard and just observing it. Again, use the tip of looking at the shape of the object and drawing it. Maybe one day you go out and it's a sunny day and you find something that makes you remember that sunny day. It's almost like you took a picture with your mind, but draw it on a piece of paper or in your sketchbook. Another thing that would be fun is to draw something that, like a food that would keep you cool. I'm kind of thinking ice cream in this part, but it could be anything that you really like to have. Maybe it's watermelon or an iced tea. You're the artist, you're the creator, have fun with it. Another fun thing that you might do on another day during the summer is to find something that's growing. Maybe it would be a flower or a weed that's growing up out of the cracks of the sidewalk. That would be a pretty cool thing to draw. Another challenge for another day, you might pick some fresh fruit, or maybe you're picking some vegetables out of your garden and you put it in a bowl, and you might draw that as well. Another really fabulous thing that I really love to think about with colored pencils that would come out so fantastic, or even crayons for that matter, is a sunrise or a sunset. And that can be an amazing thing. We've had some really gorgeous sunsets around here in central New York, and think about all those great colors. Kind of reminds me of cotton candy, the pinks and the purples. It's just amazing. So have some fun with that. Now, I did a little bonus here on the bottom, and you're probably wondering to yourself, I don't think I can see anything like that. And in this case, it's going to be your imagination. So going with our Imagine Your Stories this summer reading program, I thought it would be fun for you to come up with an invention and think about what it would look like if it were solar powered. So have some fun this summer with all these different challenges as we wrap up our junior art series. I thank you so much for joining me every week, and please sign up for a show and tell session on one of the Fridays and share with me what you've done. I really can't wait to see what you've created. Have a great rest of the summer, and remember, I love you very much. Have a great day.